भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verses 11 to 20.
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् अनन्यचेताः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्मः दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् अहर्यद्ब्रह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्ताम् देवोरात्रविदो जनाः अव्यक्ताद्व्यक्तयः सर्वाः प्रभवन्त्यहरागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके भूतग्रामः स एवायम् भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यहरागमे परस्तस्मात्तु भावोऽन्यः अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यस्य सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति
Aditi Seth has a question. Excuse me. How do you know what you know? Topic appeals to authority. Okay, so from the book, How Do You Know What You Know? The topic is appeals to authority. You had mentioned there are various ways to judge whether we are quoting the right authority for that particular point. Could you please tell us these various ways? Only one way, Aditi, which is he an expert in that? So if he's an economist and he tells us something about the economy, we take it. If he's a doctor, he's an expert doctor, we're taking that opinion based on the fact that he is an expert doctor, then we have to take it in his area, not in something else. You can't take an allopathic doctor, no matter how good he is, and take his views on Ayurveda, assuming he's not also an Ayurvedic doctor, of course. So everybody is good at something. Not everybody, but there are experts who are good at something. They're very, very good in what they do. But their opinion is taken with reference to that thing, not with reference to everything else. So Amitabh Bachchan is very good maybe at acting, maybe at having a long career. He's very good at these things. That doesn't mean he can tell us which cement works the best. But we have what is known as transference. So if you're very good at X, you're assumed to be very good at Y. Okay, so we have to avoid this transference. It's same thing happens even when it's our parents. So they were very good in terms of bringing us up, in terms of doing something for us, all that stuff. Very good. But when we transfer this to something else, we give them expertise in an area where they may not have that expertise. Okay, so which is the area of expertise must be known before we take the judgment there. Then the second question is, if you have reached a certain step in moving forward in your spiritual path, you cannot come down from that. In your next birth, you start from that step. Does that mean if anyone is born as a human being, he cannot be born as any other species in subsequent births? How do the other species climb up the ladder? Okay. So let's understand what is happening over here. Okay, I mean it's right when you say you reached a certain step in moving in your spiritual path, you can't come down from that. That is correct. But let's understand what that sentence means. That means that when you have inculcated certain types of desires, you cannot get desires lower than that. Your level of spiritual growth is your level of desires, right? So if you have, let us say, inculcated desires for, I don't know, for classical music or classical literature or something, that's your, that's where your main interest lies. You won't go back to nursery rhymes and I don't know what else, whatever is lower on the scheme. You can't associate with it. You don't know what is going on. You just can't associate with it. In that film Shankarabharanam, I don't know. Have you seen that film Shankarabharanam? It's a South Indian film which got it got the national award. Very nice. We must see it all together sometime. The story of a guru shishya relationship. So it is. One of the scenes is this guru is like the absolute best in music, and his neighbors are disturbing him with all sorts of junk music. So then there's a conversation between these two. Okay, so he's like, this is not even music. He won't even call it music like that. So, but they're creating a racket. He wouldn't have gone and interfered, but they're just creating a racket. So there's a conversation that takes place where they show the best they can do, and he sings all of that, no problem. Then he sings what he can do, and they can't do any of that. So that kind of thing. Now, if he has understood the higher levels, how can he be interested in this? It's like child's play for him. So that's what it means. Now, is that much clear what it means, what the sentence means? So whatever desires I die with now are the desires which are propelling my next birth. So that's how you continue your level. Now, what happens about reaching lower species? Now, as a human being, you have the ability to develop gross, I mean, assuming you have a gross desire, you have a capacity to multiply it beyond what this human embodiment can fulfill. So such people very difficult, but if they do manage to do that, like that what's that chap, that fellow who used to kill people and then eat them up, well, Nithari or whoever did it, we don't know who did it. Not making a comment on which of those people did it or didn't do it, but somebody did it, that we know, because there was some flesh that was eaten. So we know somebody did it. So whoever that person who did it, he has inculcated this, right? This desire to eat his own, to be cannibalistic like that. So now if that desire becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, in human beings, he will not be allowed to do that. He will be put away in the jail. So nature will help him and give him an embodiment which will allow him to fulfill that without us humans interfering with it. So if he is likes eating this raw meat, he will get an embodiment that will allow him to do that. Nature is, in that sense, very charitable. It is not trying, it is meant to fulfill our desires, not meant to interrupt them. But you can't do that in human society. Therefore, you'll get a lower. So it's not a curse to get a lower embodiment. It is for your own, you wanted it, so you got it. So you can that way get lower births, but it is difficult. Because how much of these desires can a human being cultivate? Right? So Imelda Marcos wants 3,000 pairs of shoes. Now, what can she become in a lure? She can become a horse, in which case she'll get 4, but she still can't make it to 3,000, right? So you have human desires which sort of prevent us from going to the other species. But it's not impossible. How do the other species climb up the ladder? There's no climbing up or down the ladder. The concept is not there. It's not lower and higher. What is whatever desires you have will get exhausted. As any other species, your desires will get exhausted. That individual's desires will get exhausted. And then whatever else will get manifested. They're not going up and down anywhere. They have a sanchita vasana, they have their total vasana. Whatever vasanas become ripe for exhaustion will get exhausted. Then it depends on what else they have. Okay?
Thank you, Janki ji.
All right. So verse 16 told us that all the worlds up to Brahmaloka are subject to return. That means Brahmaloka is supposed to be the place of greatest pleasure, right? The highest heaven. But no matter how good you feel, no matter what you have done, and no matter how good you feel, as long as you've not realized the self, you just have to come back. There is nothing to it. That's all there is to it. So basically, what is he telling you in a word, if you have to say, when he says this, that all the world up to Brahmaloka are subject to return, O Arjuna? What is he telling you? Can you tell me in one word? What's the point he just made? One word. If you got it, one word.
Self-realization.
Pleasure is temporary.
Yeah,
Ganesh,
transitory
one word.
happiness.
Tell us, give us the one word.
Transitory joy.
One word, Deepa. Yes, Ganesh, you are correct. You had the word, but you just used a very long sentence. Just one word. The first line of this sentence tells us only one thing: temporary. Whatever it is in this world, no matter how long it lasts, no matter how many eons it covers, the fact is it has to end. So anything that you pursue in this world, when you begin the pursuit, should we not know this at least? You can pursue it if you want, you can chase it if you want, you do whatever you want. But should you not know that it is temporary? And when you don't know that, what a shock it is when you find out. That's the tragedy, right? How much people suffer, which is found out that it's temporary. Anyway, it may be in a relationship, it may be with money, it may be with health, it may be with knowledge, it may be with anything in this world. Should you not know before you start the pursuit that it is all temporary? There's no getting away from this. So that's what he's saying. Brahma bhuvanat lokaha. Up to Brahma. That means the very highest, the best, the noblest, whatever you want, the greatest happiness that you can have. Punaravartino Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, punaravartinaha. Punaraha avartinaha. You have to come back. Come back to square one. It may take you a day, it may take you a year, it may take you 100 years, it may take you millions of years, but you have to come back. It may be a long journey, it may be a short journey, but end it has to. If you know this, you can get very disappointed in life. To make ab kya karu? It can make you very pessimistic. No matter what I work for, I have to lose it. It's a question of time. It make you very pessimistic. So then he's not left you with that pessimistic thought. He's given you the solution. Now tell us, what is the solution? Again, one word.
Is it detachment?
Okay, you could say that. A full solution.
Self-realization.
Self-realization. That's the solution. What's the problem? Temporary. What's the solution? Realization. Why is realize the solution for that? Because it's permanent. Mam upetya tu kaunteya, O kaunteya, mam upetya. Having come to me, punarjanma na vidyate. Punarjanma is you don't get into any temporary situation again because you have achieved the permanent. We started verse 17, he says. So he's telling us now about Brahmaloka. What is it? Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. Sahasra Yuga. So what is a yuga? Let's start with that. You may be familiar with this, with the concept of the four yugas in Indian mythology or in Indian time span. There are four yugas. The first yuga is the Satya Yuga. In Satya Yoga, everything is very good. It's full virtue. It's like everything is beautiful. Everybody is wonderful. Everybody is noble. Everything is fantastic. It is Satya Yoga. Then virtue falls a little in the next yuga known as Treta Yoga. Treta Yoga. Very many people get confused with why is the second yuga called the third yuga. I'll come to that because very confusing sometimes. And the third yuga is Dwapar Yuga. Sounds like two, right? But it's the third. The virtue has fallen even more. And then finally comes Kali Yuga, where virtue is very little. So this is portrayed in the text like this. Dharma is a cow. When the cow stands on four legs, this is Satya Yuga. When she limps along on three legs, this is called Treta Yuga. When she has only two legs, it is Dwapara Yuga. And when she is unsteadily balanced on one leg, basically she's fallen. It means that this is Kali Yuga. So Dharma, the cow, not the cat, the cow. When Dharma, the cow, has her four legs, Satya Yuga. Three legs, Treta Yuga. Dwapara Yuga, two legs. And Kali Yuga, she can't stand. She has only one leg. So, Satya Yuga goes on for 17,28,000 years. Treta Yuga goes on for 12,96,000 years. Dwapar Yuga is 8,64,000 years. And Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. So what is happening? Satya Yuga lasts longer and then the yugas keep reducing. Kali Yuga hardly 4 lakh years. This is the time span. Now you may say, what is this even supposed to mean? Vedanta is supposed to be so rational, so logical. What are they talking about? Let's understand it philosophically. when anything starts, it is very good, it is very noble, it is very pure. The child is born pure, isn't it? When the plant is also born, it is so soft, it is so nice. Even a rose plant doesn't have pokey thorns. A tiger cub is so cute. When anything starts, it's very nice. We're going to start an institution. It'll be very nice. Why will it be so nice in the beginning? Because at that time, we're all dedicated to it. We want it to take off. We work together. There will be the spirit of cooperative endeavor. And so it will last for a long time because the attitude, mental attitude is very good. But then what will happen? Kalena, in time, some amount of competition, some amount of strife, some amount of non-acceptance of each other. Over a period of time, it will start. The honeymoon period is over, as it were. And some now you did this, I did this, you said that, I said that, will all start. That is your Treta Yuga. Now think of what is happening. Right? In Satya Yuga, everything is very, very nice. It's just beginning. Everything like that. Any organization begins like that. Any society begins like that. There is nothing there for people to be able to survive. They have to cooperate. They have no option but to do. Because what? Many couples also, they're very poor when they start. And so they're forced to cooperate because they can't survive otherwise. And then after some time, when a certain amount of prosperity comes in as a consequence of their cooperative endeavor, then the trouble starts. Okay, but it's still going on pretty well. And if you think about it, if you look upon it as all of society, what happens then? You start the advances, you start all the thinking that was done earlier will give rise to products of advances, this, that, and the other. Along with all the advancement, what will come? Do you know most of our advancement, our space programs and all that have come from which field? Are you aware of this? Which field it comes from? What were they really
Creative.
doing? Huh?
War,
Science.
war and conflict.
Comes from what?
From war.
From war, from defense. Most of our research, all this huge money that we spend on research, all comes out of defense. Yes, great, Sanjay. Comes out of defense. The defense, we are trying to protect ourselves. What comes out of that? So much advancement. And what else comes out of that? So much weaponry. So much weaponry is built up. So much defense is built up. There's a constant war going on, isn't it, between our defense capabilities and other people's war capabilities. I mean, it's not like we only defend and they only fight, but this battle is always on. Somebody, when I start fighting with you, first I'll try to hit you. And then after some time, what do I find? That if I hit you, you hit me. So what do I want to do? I want to go far away from you and hit you, so that if I hit you, you don't hit me. So what do? I take a stone and I throw it at you. Now you can't hit me. But then you understand, oh, so I can do from a distance. So you also pick up a stone, you also hit. Then you want to make your stone better. And so you kind of come up with archery and you start hitting with bows and arrows, and then you make those better and better. And then people die with these bows and arrows. So then you start making armor, and then the armor starts getting better and better. So though the marksman is very good at shooting the arrow, the fellows are not getting killed because their armor is so good. So this marksman says, oh, what is this arrows? It doesn't work. They come up with a gun. And then that armor can't deal with the gun. So what do the guys making the armor do? They start making better armor, bulletproof it becomes. And then what happens? Then people say, oh no, these bullets are meeting bulletproof vest. What's the use of my marksmanship? Let me now build a cannon. So something or the other, keep growing. And then what happens? As the advancement goes up, as the competition goes up, as the dharma comes down, you have landed up in Kali Yuga. And what happens in Kali Yuga? We're all fighting with each one another. And therefore, what will happen? destroy the whole thing. That is called pralaya. Okay, now let us assume that the whole world has been destroyed. We have shot off nuclear bombs and done atomic warfare, and we've done all the chemical warfare. We managed to kill everybody. And let us say, for argument's sake, that only all of us have survived. Just us. What will we do? There's no gas, there's no electricity, there's no water, there is nothing. So what will we now start doing? We will start cooperating with each other. Because the only way we'll survive now against all the elements of nature is if we work together. And after Pralaya, therefore, comes Satyuga again, because now you're starting all over again. So this process of going from Satyuga to Kali Yuga is known as one Yuga, one Mahayuga. This Mahayuga is 43 lakhs. That's how long it is. Now, you have to assume that Brahma, this is one day of Brahma. Now, you have to do some very serious calculation. This whole one yuga of ours is his one day. Because what happens? The day also begins like that, right? Very sweet, very nice. Then the hot sun comes up. And then at night, it is all pralaya. So that's what he's talking about. He's saying, this is Brahma's day. Now, Brahma lives for, let us say, even if he lives for 100 years, you will have to give him 362 days. Okay, plus into 367 days into, let us say, even if he lives for 100 years, you do all these calculations, you will come to 4.32 billion years will be one process of the time cycle, the whole of it. So from the beginning, you remember Brahma is to create the world, right? So from the beginning to full pralaya, not small scale pralaya which just destroys the world, but full scale pralaya, where the whole universe will close down again. It's 4.32 billion years. Carl Sagan has remarked that the early Indian has come closest to telling us the age of the universe. Because if you know what the current age of the universe is, you will see that these calculations are extremely close to that. So 4.32 billion years. How they came up with these calculations, only they know. But they are remarkably close to what modern day physics have come up with. From Big Bang to now. Same way they have come up with something. So now we don't know, that's not our subject, but it's just to be remarked. Especially since Carl Sagan brought out this comparison himself, saying that the early Indian seems to have come closest to the figures given by modern day physicists. So he says that the people who know the day of Brahma, which ends in 1,000 yugas, and the night which ends in 1,000 yugas, they know day and night. In other words, when you see the whole picture of life, you take a step back, you see what is going on. You know life. We get so involved in the pettiness of it all that you never take a step back and look at the whole picture. What is the whole picture showing us? Understand how things happen. Understand when your daughter-in-law comes into the house, first few days, everything will be hunky-dory. Everybody's on best behavior. Then what happens? You should know that before it happens, right? Don't enter life blindly. That's all that philosophy says. It says, you know day and night, means you understand the whole scheme of things. If you understand the picture, you'll understand the whole picture, and then it's just a matter of fitting the jigsaw in. Only one point which you may wonder is how come, if you notice the figures, it's 432 Kali Yuga, and then 8 is just the double of that, which is 864. Okay, so you go up like that, you will find there's a ratio happening here. which is showing us that Satya Yuga lasts longest. Isn't it? Why? Because when things are good and noble and cooperative, they last. Then they've given Brahma to have such a long day and such a long night. And that Brahma, what is for us? 43,20,000 years, for him is just a day. So what is that supposed to mean? Remember, Brahma is the highest heaven. So what does it mean?
That even his lifetime is limited.
Yes, that is true, of course. But why so? Why have they given Mr. Brahma or Lord Brahma such a long day? Imagine his day, just day from morning to sunset is 43 lakh years of ours. Because it expresses the concept that when things are very happy, life goes very fast. Every class is 1 hour, right? Every one of them. Whoever's you attend, 1 hour. Some of them are so boring that 1 hour seems, oh my God, such a long time. Some of them are very interesting. Then how does the 1 hour seem? So, oh, is it over? 1 hour? Are you sure? Are you cheating us? Only spoke for 5 minutes? So, how does time appear to us? The happier the time is, the briefer it appears to us. So, therefore, how is time for Brahma, who lives in his high heavens? When 43,20,000 human years have passed, he thinks only a day has passed. That's how happy he is. So philosophically, what does it mean? I mean, it's the same concept about Brahma's heaven being the happiest. Because over there, for us, what is 43 lakh years for him is just a day. Verse 18. Avyaktavyaktaय sarvaha prabhavantyah ragame ratriyagame praliyante tatraivavyaktasanyake avyaktavyaktaय sarvaha prabhavantyah ragame ratriyagame praliyante tatraivavyaktasanyake avyaktat vyaktayah sarvaha prabhavanti. From the avyakta. What is that avyakta? From the night. He goes to sleep. Brahma goes to sleep means pralaya has taken place. Just like our life, isn't it? Think of our life. What happens? We're running around all day. In the morning, we begin very sattvic. Then in the day, all the story goes on. And then at night, whatever it is, good and bad, it all gets enveloped. This is the raveled sleep of care. Whole thing is closed up. Whole pralaya has taken place, as it were. And then next morning, what will happen from that avyakta, from that unmanifest? What was the unmanifest? The sleep. Nothing was happening. Then vyaktaya sarvaha. All of them get manifested. The tiger, the deer, the kangaroo, when they are asleep, they're all exactly the same. They are avyakta, they are unmanifest, unexpressed. But when they do wake up, then their individual natures will start expressing themselves. So they say, where has all this come from? Where does this expression come from? It has all come from the unexpressed. So avyaktat, from the unmanifest. Vyaktaya sarvaha prabhavanti. They come from the avyakta, from that night, from that darkness, from that ignorance, where nothing is manifested. From that comes all of it back. When does it do that? At the dawn of day, as the day starts, as the sun rises, at the approach of day, it all starts manifesting. Each one of us become what we are. And Ratragame, when night sets in again, whole thing starts going back into the unmanifest. So our days are the manifest and our nights are the unmanifest. Similarly, for Brahma, the day is manifest, that means this whole universe is working. And what is his night? It's pralaya. Nothing. Everything has closed down. So at the approach of day, all the manifested stream forth from the unmanifest. At the approach of night, they dissolve there only in what is called the unmanifest. That is its Saunya, that is its name, the unmanifest. So, verse 18 and 19 say basically the same idea. Verse 18 talks with reference to the macrocosm. That means what is happening at the beginning, there's a big bang and the whole thing starts manifesting, and then finally we as human beings have arrived on this planet, and we have lived our whole lives, we have done whatever we did until Pralaya comes. This is this whole universe all over again. Then what happens after that? Again, there's probably a big bang, or however it works. Whole thing will expand all over again every 4.32 billion years. You need not worry, oh my God, we are all going to be burnt up in that fire, because I think this universe will last our lifetime, so don't worry about it. But it is, this is the whole picture. So they call it Brahma's day and night. Whole thing has closed down means Brahma has gone to sleep. Whole thing has opened up again means now Brahma has woken up and the world is created. I'm sure you know in Indian mythology that Brahma is the Lord of creation. So only when he's awake, he is going to create, right? So that's how it is represented. It is all told to us in poetry. Now you go, where is Brahma? Did he really create? Did he create the Big Bang? Please don't misunderstand all these things. It's only a poetical representation of mathematical facts as they found them at that time. But whether mathematically true or not, philosophically definitely true in the sense that we can see this happening, right? We can see that at the time of night, everything is gone into the unmanifest form. We go to sleep. And in the time of the morning, things come back to manifestation, and each one of us become whoever we are. You sleep as a mathematician, you get up as a mathematician. You sleep as a singer, you get up as a singer. It won't change. Whatever you are will manifest itself whenever you're awake. So he's saying this with reference to Brahma in verse 18. That means for the whole cosmos. And verse 19 says exactly the same thing with reference to the individual, you and I. Basically, it's just letting us understand the vast cycles that are going on in life. These are what these verses talk about, that these cycles are going on. So every time you go up, you don't start jumping, and every time you come down, you don't need to get into depression. It's about that much. And then how do they affect our life is, of course, the next thing. So verse 19. भूतग्रामस एवायम् भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वश पार्थ प्रभवन्त्यः रागमे भूतग्रामस्त एवायम् भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वश पार्थ प्रभवन्त्यः रागमे. I hope it's all clear up to this point. All he's spoken about is the cycles, time cycles, where the thing manifests and the thing goes back into non-manifestation. he compares it to our day and night, where we can see it happen and say this works exactly the same for even at the universe level, at the cosmos level. He's saying Bhutagramaha. Bhutagramaha means the collection of all the bhutas. Bhuta means beings, all the beings. Vayam, ayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. Having been bhutva, having been, praliyate. Then it goes into laya. It goes into close. So each time, Amrita wakes up to be a certain person. Then what happens to her? Then at night she goes to sleep. The whole thing closes. Then what happens? Then she gets up in the morning again. So he says bhutva bhutva again and again, happening again and again. It keeps opening up. It keeps closing. Ratrya game vasha partha. O partha avasha. Avasha means helpless. जो वश में नहीं आता है. So helplessly, this will keep on going on. At the approach of night, the whole thing will go back into the unmanifest form. So the multitude of beings being born again and again is dissolved helplessly at the approach of night, O Partha, and it streams forth at the approach of day. I hope this is clear, right? That that we go through day and night. In the day, we are manifested beings. We are whatever we are, good, bad, ugly, whatever we are. But all of us go to the same nothingness at night. Whenever our manifestation closes, we go to the same nothingness. Then what happens? Then when the manifestation reopens at the dawn of day, again we come back to being whoever we are. This happens to us, the individual. It happens to the at the cosmic level. So these cycles are constantly going on in the realm of Prakriti. So far, so good. Any problem so far? This is relatively simple, right? Anybody has a problem so far? Is it all clear?
Jackie,
Yeah. Wow.
Akhila, I have a doubt.
Go ahead.
We see the cycle as an expression of the self, right?
Sorry, sir, again. Can you remove the screen, please? Where are you, Akhila?
My video is not on, but
Okay, yeah, okay, go ahead.
So the cycle we see as the expression of the self.
So we see the cycle as an expression of the self. Yes and no. He's going to differentiate the cycle from the self.
Okay. So
That you are the self. You are the steady one. And the cycles are going on. Instead of staying with your steadiness, you're getting woozy with the cycles going on. That's his point.
So self realization would lead to an escape from this cycle.
Yes, because there's no avyakta left, right? If there are no vasanas left, what is going to manifest?
Okay.
Self-realization is the removal of the unmanifest.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Aditi?
So, Janki ji, is this related to the concept of Maya?
Yes, anything that moves is Maya. So these are the cycles of life. We get carried away in the cycles of life, and that is the influence of Maya on us. Instead of staying with your stability, we all get involved. Abhi acha hai, abhi bura hai, abhi manifest hai, abhi unmanifest hai. We're getting involved in that.
Okay.
Anything other than the self is Maya.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't derive conclusions as of now. I hope the base is clear about the day and night and what is it got to do with life. Day and night means waking and asleep. When we are awake, we are manifesting our vasanas. Excuse me, when the vasanas do not manifest, we are in sleep. Therefore, the state of sleep is also known as the avyakta, the unmanifest, or vasanas, is another word for vasanas. So when we wake up, means when the vasanas start manifesting, we are awake. When the vasanas do not manifest, we are asleep. So even after the huge pralaya and the cosmos closes down again, If your vasanas were still left, when the cosmos opens again you will take a birth, again you will manifest. So it'll go on and on until you get rid of the vasanas. That's the critical part, right? But when we come to spiritual path, we start getting rid of actions. First we get rid of possession, we get rid of actions, we get rid of all the things that don't really matter. The vasanas stay very well within us, nicely protected. So as long as the vasana exists, it is just going to come back. Take some time for us to get that.
Hariom Janki ji, I
Yes.
ask a question. Why does the vasanas come?
Why do vasanas come? Because you behave in a way that creates vasanas.
It's like chicken and egg.
Mhm.
Okay.
When we behave in a desire-ridden manner, we create desires. Very few of us are willing to examine anything we want to do. When we want to do it, the gods cannot stop us from doing it. But there's no examination. Not that God should stop us from doing it, just no examination of whatever we want to do. No examination whatsoever. And so we function on that desire and we just create more desires for that thing. That's how we get stuck in the groove. So a person who is intent on earning money will forever continue to do that because he gets stuck in the groove. He acted on desire to earn money, created a further desire, and created deeper and deeper grooves, and will just continue to do that for the rest of his life. Some people create grooves for negativity. It could be criminal activity, it could be even negativity in the mind. All the time, negativity, pessimism. You can't pull them out because it's become so deep. Some people have this amazing ability. No matter what happens, they will have a negative view of the situation. But say, अभी तो कुछ अच्छा बोलो नहीं, हो ही नहीं सकता. Nothing and good can come from that person's mouth. Created that groove. Once you realize this cause and effect, you never expect that person to say anything good. In fact, you'll be surprised if they do say something good. You'll say, oh wow. Because that groove is created. So how are you creating vasana? You function in a desired manner. You want something, you go for it. No examination at all. If somebody says, "No, stop for a minute, examine," you get irritated with them. So nobody will say anything to you. Why? They don't want to take on unnecessary irritation. Just won't examine. We are so. You need not do anything, but watch yourself. When you have decided to do anything, can anybody stop you? Forget anybody else. Can you stop yourself? Not that I'm suggesting you should stop yourself. Can you examine whether this thing should be done or not? You don't do that. None of us do that. And the result is we create stronger desires. That means next time you will examine even less. Everything happens like that. If you understand this, you'll stop saying anything to anyone. You'll stop saying it to yourself also. What is the point? Because जो होना है वो होना है ही, करना है जो करना है ही. No, I can't stop anyone. So that's how vasana is created. You function desire-ridden, you make it stronger, and then you function obviously more desire-ridden, and you make it even stronger. And like this, there's no escape. Naraka nigudaha. That's what Shankaracharya said. Caught in hell, as it were. Is that okay, Ganesh? How is it created? Because we act, we behave in that manner. We behave in a desired manner.
Hariom, understood, madam.
Janki ji, related to this,
Yeah, Bharat?
so how was the first vasana created?
It's not related to this, Bharat. It's a totally different question. But yes, it is an impossible question. We can't answer that question. You're asking, how did the all-knowing become ignorant? Can't tell. How did Turiya become waking dream and deep sleep? Never will know that. There is no way we can know that. Because, you know why we can't know that? Because from a conditioned state, you can never understand the unconditioned. If I am drunk and I believe I am a chaprasi or I am a CEO or whatever in the world I think I believe, can I ever ask or answer the question, how did I believe I'm a chaprasi, or how did I come to believe that I'm a CEO? From a conditioned state, you can never know the unconditioned. Can't be done. Or a more physical example is, how can you know the boundary of something unless you know something beyond it? Isn't it? Unless I can see that there is something beyond this, beyond the fence or whatever, how can I know that this is the end? I have to see something else, right? Or another example is, if I was born with pink glasses and I've been wearing pink glasses my whole life long, how can I know what life is without those pink glasses? I never took them out, so I'll never know. I will never know I'm wearing pink glasses because the world will appear to me whatever it appears. So the only way I know something is by knowing something other than it. In other words, Bharat, your question can't be answered. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Poor thing, he still has to say thank you even if he gets no answer. But it's not that, the current person is dumb. This question cannot be answered by anyone. Therefore, every theory of creation is known as a theory of creation. There can be gross theories, there can be subtle theories, but they're all theories because sitting here, you can't tell what is there. Deepak, you had mentioned that every theory of creation is ultimately false, correct? It has been put forth to pacify questions around the origin of the world. Would this apply to verse 17 also? What was verse 17? No, Deepak, it is not applicable to verse 17 because it is talking, all these verses 17 to 19 are talking about how the world operates. So it's not applicable to that. It's not talking about how the cycle started. It's only saying the cycles exist. Is that clear? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Puja. Who's Puja? Puja? Do I know you, Puja? Where are you?
Pranam. Pranam. Hari.
You are new, Puja? You've been attending?
Off and on, not regular.
You had mentioned that you will explain why the names of Treta Yoga was chosen for second yoga and why name Dwapar Yoga was chosen for third yoga. I did it already, Puja. Uttara is saying 3 legs of cow means Treta. Yeah, when the 3 pada of Dharma.
Okay. I've got it. I heard the story, but it's okay that way. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I should have connected it better.
Oh, no.
3, when you have all 4 legs of the cow, that means Dharma is complete. Satya Yoga, Dharma is in 3 padas, 3 feet, 3 quarters, let us say. Then you have Treta Yoga. 2 is half Dharma, and poor Dharma can't stand on a foot. So that's Kali Yoga, when Dharma collapses, Pralaya takes place.
Hari Om.
Okay. Yeah.
Hari Om ji. Sangeeta.
Yeah, Sangeeta.
So the 4 legs of the cow are dharma, kam, moksha?
No. 4 legs of dharma itself.
Okay. And there are no names to the.
No. 4 legs of dharma means dharma is complete.
Okay.
Now our comprehension of dharma in the state of sattva, we're going to do it in chapter 18. Your understanding is correct, right? Then as you come into more rajas and tamas, the understanding itself is wrong. Like in Kali Yuga, wrong things were considered correct. For instance, one person told me some years ago, obviously not from class or something, but outside in the social circus. So really, it's a circus out there, and in that social circus, they said that everything is nice about you, but one thing I don't like. He said. I said, oh, what's that one thing you don't like? He says, you never use bad language. I have to teach you how to use bad language. So completely taken aback. So the concept that a person is not using bad language, there's something incomplete about that person. And if you hear any movie today or any program today, all their punctuation and sometimes more than their punctuation is simply bad language. And this is considered good. This is called dharma down to its last. You don't understand good from bad. You think bad is good.
Yeah.
So dharma is standing on one foot. That's what it means.
So dharma, arth, kam and moksha fall under which category? The 4 purusharthas.
Yeah, they are the 4 purusharthas. Just because both are 4 now, don't put them together.
Yeah. No. I was getting a little confused.
Yeah. No,
Also
nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them.
Okay. There's one more theory that when the jiva, because we are part and parcel of God, according to the Bhakti mark, when the jiva wants to enjoy this world, because we have the same qualities, so when we want to bhog, like in Hindi they say we want to bhogya hai hum, lekin hum bhogna chahte hain, then we get birth. Like Bharatji was asking, when does the first vasana start? When the jiva wants to enjoy the material world.
Come on, Sangeeta, think it through what you're saying. When you have already when you want to enjoy, you already have the vasana. It doesn't answer the question of how the vasana came. His question is, how did you want to enjoy the world? That's his question.
Okay.
And your theory is correct that when you need to enjoy, and this, let's not make a division between bhakti and jnana. The truth stands true or false. There's no bhakti and jnana. Bhakti and jnana are different methods of communicating or expressing the truth. But the truth is one and the same.
That is why I wanted to understand what is the
But if you let me speak, I'll tell you.
Yeah, sorry.
So it is correct that when the jeev needs to bhog the world, it's just a way of putting it. That means when your desires come into fructification, you get the particular embodiment that enables you to enjoy those objects. It's no different. It's saying exactly the same thing, which in fact in this class we just discussed. That when your desires come into fructification, you will get the body most suitable for the enjoyment, for the experience. Philosophically, bhoga or enjoyment only means experience. To experience that your desires, you require a physical body, therefore you will get it. That's what it means.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Hari Om, Janki ji.
Yes. Who is saying this now?
Hari Om.
Go ahead, Elsie.
Janki ji, we don't know how the world is created, how the first vasana came. But then how do we know with the certainty where we are going?
We don't even know with certainty where we are going, Elsie. We know very little. We have to just muddle along as best we can. So to help us muddle along as best we can, we try to find out as many fixed points as possible. So between those fixed points, you can do your muddling, but at least you know some kind of fixed points. And those fixed points are what are the laws of life, which is what we study. So we don't really know where we are going. We can't know that. We come from ignorance, we go to ignorance. And while we are here, we try and comprehend at least some stable factors. For instance, we did one stable factor today, that cycles go on. It's a stable factor that this cycle will go on, that the manifest becomes unmanifest and unmanifest becomes manifest. Stable cycle. You know this. So you say, well, what am I supposed to do with this? That means you meet a hot-tempered person who's not currently losing his temper. You know that in some time he will. Okay? You know that a snake has not bitten anyone, but you know that in due course, when the situation arises, the snake can. This is a really bad example because as it is, people are so anti-snake. So it's not meant to be anti-snake, but the comprehension that something which is in has to come out. Where else? What else will happen to it? As long as that person has a body, it has to come out. So you fix your points, what you understand. Yeah, you fix those points. I understand this. I understand that desires are the sole cause of agitation. I understand. These are fixed points. So those are the laws of Vedanta, the fixed points. The rest you have to muddle through as best you can.
So from point to point, logically only we can move forward. Nothing else can be done.
Not really. You may or may not move logically forward because life can throw a googly at you anytime. But at least you know these are fixed, right? So you know that you have to maneuver your way between these fixed points.
Okay. Thank you, Dee.
So we
Second, Sangeeta. Yes, Aditi?
So will a self-realized person know the answer to Bharat's question?
Mm-hmm.
So self-realized people have tried to give us a little glimpse of what it is. So isn't this a little glimpse given to us of this question?
Yes, there is, but we won't understand it. We can't.
Okay.
They have told us, but we won't get it. We will get it when we get to realization. So say, oh, that's really unfair. You know, there's a story about a sage. He realized the self, and then he took all his books and went and threw it in the river, saying that when I didn't know, you didn't speak to me. Now that I do know, why are you telling me? And you'll experience that yourself. When you don't know, people cannot tell you. When you know, you understand immediately what someone is saying. And what use is that to you now? Yeah, it's poetical. So yes, they have told us, and no, we cannot understand what they said. We will misunderstand.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Sangeeta, last question we'll take. Yes, Sangeeta. I can't hear you. Are you saying something?
So self-realization is the only way to break the cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't take my word for it. Understand the logic. As long as there are desires, the desires will have to find manifestation. So when will the manifestation stop? When the desires are over.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Hari Om.
Janki ji. Announcement.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Go
Hari
ahead,
Om,
Bharat.
everyone. Just a second. We won't have classes next week. We all meet for Sunandaji's lecture series starting from 13th to 17th. Details will be shared on the group again. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Janki ji, thank you very much.
Hari Om,
Hari Om,
Janki.
Janki ji. Thank you.
Hari Om, Janaki ji.